And that's not even a way to turn it on. Like direct assassination, there's no way to turn it on.
That's
Oh, you got the last?
I got the last, yeah. You should play a game of Hoi 4 with me sometime, though, with Old World.
I can't stand Hoi 4.
Yeah,
oh, how
Hoi
come?
is weird. Not our speed.
But with the Old World Blues mod, it's so much fucking fun, though. Have you ever slaughtered the NCR while using power armor before? It's so much fun.
No.
Just the entire... Nice! A good haul.
9.
Nothing glitters like gold.
But gold is gay.
Except for the diamonds in your soul.
We should probably start, since I now have the stream begun.
Well, we made more money in that than Shadow Raid, damn.
Oh shit.
They're playing Payday 2.
Yep, sorry guys.
All three of you.
I am going to try and do this as quickly as possible because I do not want to sit here reading all night. And we have to finish quick.
And I have stuff to do, yeah.
And I'm just bored.
Summary, funnest stuff, and a marriage proposal.
Thrilling. Truly thrilling.
We will certainly surprise some people. That'll be explained later.
Kill yourself.
Fucking Mickey Mouse.
Nervousness shot through her as she watched him change. The meeting with the girl with the silver eyes and Herto Rose had been something that had been bouncing around in her mind as she shed his clothing. The clout was sitting in the background looking at the proceedings, her hands grabbing the shirt that he dropped on the floor.
Master!
Her voice was tense and uncertain, knowing that she was just a foreigner, but she couldn't stop. She couldn't stop from asking the question. He turned his gaze to her, half unclothed, fresh clothing having been prepared for him by another slave, something that looked more formal, more upscale than what she'd seen.
A search for the man who was someone in this world.
Yes, Yang? Wait. Yes, Yang? His voice calling her name, speaking it with a little whisper of something that was more than just appreciation in it. Something that showed that she was his favorite fondness, made her feel the beating of her heart increase. Inheritor Rose, is she? He looked surprised at her question, stopping halfway, fidgeting. She fidgeted under his gaze, not sure what to do. Not sure what to do. Why? She was out of line. Was she out of line for asking questions? Would it be bad if she just wanted to know things? My best friend. She'll be formally announced at the ball later this month. After the master's face looked grave as he looked at her, his hand caressing her cheek, a smile on his face as he turned to Blake. Go see whether Tara requires your assistance, Blake. I can get dressed on my own, even if Yang is here to help. The cat looked at the master and gave a low nod. Submissive behavior was something that she'd allow, even with the looming threat in the background. And the crocodile found sat in a seat, watching with eyes that did not seem to blink. Wait, we changed this. Watching with pussies that did not seem to blink. The woman had pussies that were like a hawk, something about them making Yang feel uncomfortable. Blake left and they were alone. Well, as much alone as they could be. Yang looked at the man who owned her. Anything less than that in her pussy was not even settled. Oh my god. Are you jealous of her? He asked softly, looking into her pussy. A soft shake of the head as she came closer. His skin smelled a little of her as she waited for him to touch her more, the fingers brushing through her hair. You shouldn't be. You're my fondness. She was his fondness, yes. The threats that had been given earlier bounced around still. She didn't want to be disposed of. She didn't want to lose him. She looked into his eyes, voicing her fear. Are you still going to sell me when you marry? His eyes changed as they firmed up, a look of direction in those eyes that showed that he was firm and resolute as a man of his nature should be. Never. I'm not selling off the fondness who matters to me. Anastasia may have been defect, a bad animal, but you are so wonderful. He looked at her with those trusting eyes as he slid his hand to the collar. I'm I'm really glad I could get you, Yang. A smile on his lips, his eyes pained. She didn't want him to feel pain. She didn't want to see him in pain. I'm going to do something really bad. It would be seen as... how to put it? He looked concerned. But I'll make sure that you will be unharmed. Father might not agree completely with it. Mother might not tolerate it. But I will make sure that you will survive. Even if I have to force the issue. I'm still the inheritor of this family. Master? He looked at her and she didn't feel afraid. She was warm and comfortable as his hand pulled her close and he kissed her. Lightning and thunder seemed to flash through her system as he kissed her on the lips. A low moan came from her lips as he kissed her. She kept her pussy looking into his own. His nose against her cheek and her nose against his cheek. Ah! Anastasia might have been a bad egg. Wait. Anastasia might have been a bad egg, but I've been a wonderful doll. He spoke softly as his lips lightly touched hers. Lady Rose might not be happy with me for a while, but if she signs... A look on his face as he looked more certain of things than before. It'll be you, living. Even if Ruby never forgives me for what I'm about to do, I will keep you safe. She didn't even dare to speak, not trusting her voice. He was telling her that things would be okay, and that she'd be his forever. 3 little words she wanted to utter, but she didn't dare to. 3 little words that would probably seal her fate, but they were worth it for him. She glanced at her little finger for a moment as she brushed it against his thumb. She wanted to say it aloud. She wanted to let him know. She wanted her heart. She felt her heart beat faster and faster, looking at the man who was hers, upon who she had built the fragile house of craving and love.
Okay, I'm back. I've missed nothing.
I love you. She was just a fondest slave. She was just someone who could never be with him. But it felt so real. He was so warm, so kind, so honest. Will you have me sleep with you in the same bed with your wife, master? He looked at her, thoughtful for an instant, before he closed his eyes and gave a low sigh. I'm not sure whether she would like that. No, she's never been outspoken on the topic of fondness. Who knows? Yes? Yeah, I couldn't imagine the girl being much different from her earlier outburst. The words had hurt her as she had spoken about the pedigree that she'd brought to the relationship. She loved the man. Wasn't that enough? All the money in the world wasn't enough for her to be swayed to pick another man. If you marry, will you still need your doll? She asked quietly. He looked at her and she felt his hand pull closer, a smile on his lips. Of course, with the time that she'll be away doing missions and whatnot, and whatnot else at Beacon, he'll be my fondness. Marriage is... A deep sigh as he looked at her. Marriage is more of a binding vow. A softness to his face as he penised at her. His lips formed words, but no sounds came out. Did you see something horrible as well when Cammy Did you see something horrible as well when Cammy touched you? She nodded quietly. She could not imagine a world where he would not be the man giving her children. To deny her that expression would be to perish. Her eyes looked into
his sad eyes.
Her vagina looked into his sad vaginas. The softness to them. It fucking is so terrible once you change the words out, man.
Yep.
You don't even need to change the words, you just need to read it out loud and you realize how fucking bad it sounds.
I'm gonna make sure that it doesn't happen. The primary wife is expected to birth the first heir. Cinder of the house.
Oh god, I read that as the Primarch wife.
The Primarch wife. The primary wife is expected to birth the first heir. Cinder of House Fall is slated to be that through seniority at this moment, as well as being the suitable match. But
he pussied at her.
He pussied at her and was remorseful in his expression. I wish. A pause as he pussied at her. I'm gonna ask you something, Yang. I want you to answer honestly. She looked at him, nodding.
Pussied
No
at
words
him.
She pussied at him, nodding. No words were needed as he pussied
As he
at
pussied
her.
at her.
Do you want to Major Domo? It's a good... Wait. Do you want to be Major Domo? It's a good living. It's got some privileges.
How do you do that thing where you can look up how many words? Is it fucking Alt-R?
I don't know. You'd be my personal enforcer. It's Alt-F, actually.
Alt-F?
Control-F. You'd be
Control
my
F.
personal enforcer amongst the household, though I don't think you'd be allowed to sleep with me.
Only
Must remain
67. Wow.
Separate. She looked at him and he thought about it. She didn't think that she would enjoy that. The cat would be his pleasure toy then, and she was a lousy lay. She probably didn't even know how to suck a good dick. Yang, do you want to? He asked her and she shook her head softly. She was happy where she was. She would hopefully be pure soon, so she could make him feel good. Master Jean, She hesitated. Personal opinions were not often wanted from the slaves by the master. This lowly slave knows that you wish to please her, but this lowly slave wishes to. She swallowed. The forms were tough to remember, even with her trying her best. This lowly slave wishes to be the woman who you go to when the comfort of your wife fades. A lowly pet this slave shall be. He looked at her and seized her collar. She let him guide her, her eyes looking into his own. She could detect that urge within his eyes, not even hidden. Won't you be nothing but a lowly pet slave? The voice of the crocodile was behind her, the woman having moved quieter than a mouse standing behind her. She felt a spark of fear go through her at the sudden realization that she'd shown her back to someone. Ash? The master's voice was soft, yet with a tone that was understanding.
Also, I'm just thinking in my fucking head how I could fix every single one of these sentences, and with the fucking... I was gonna say the voice of the crocodile was behind her, the woman having moved quieter than a mouse. You can fucking drop standing behind her. That is completely and utterly pointless. There's no point in having that there, because you're just restating what happened again.
Yes, but you want to get through this quickly, so let's just go.
I know, sorry.
She's a furnace. I know my duty to the world. Wait. She's a furnace. I know my duty to the world. She can't be anything more than just an animal. The woman made a sound, not quite rude, but definitely dismissive. She looked at the woman's pale features, the crimson eyes looking at her with a dismissive gaze that she was used to. There was always a prejudice that had grown throughout the years. Deer was skittish and shy. Rabbits were always in the mood and timid. As long as you understand that, Master Jean. The woman's gaze was cautioning her, the master. She could never share a level thing about anything.
Is there ever a point where there's just a dot?
You should get dressed. Lady Azalea and you should get dressed. Lady Azalea and your sisters would probably like to see you before you submit your proposal before Lady Rose. Her master looked at the crocodile faunus for a long moment as he deliberated something before he spoke. I know. I can take a while to get dressed. They'll just be doing girl talk anyways. You know how Saffron gets when she's in need of gossip. Astronaut has seen wisdom in that. I leave to prepare something of a light refreshment for your mother, and I shall take the bad pet with me in order to instruct her in proper decorum. Yang looked at the woman whose eyes peered into her, whose eyes pussied into hers with a look that brooked no objections. Do not make a mess of your clothing, Master Jean. Her master's hand squeaked her shoulder as he sighed. It was once, Ash, when I was 7. The woman gave him a frown, though carried a little heat. Yang could see that the look changed a little as the woman righted her tail flicking a few times. You will always be the little boy that suckled on my teat when you were an infant, Master Jean. Boobies.
Boobs.
Boobies.
Boop.
The embarrassed sound from the master was enough as she wondered why the woman had been trusted to nurse the male child of the family like the Arks. It was unusual, but it did explain the way that the woman was treated. Just go. Go make sure that Blake doesn't get flogged by Mother. Blake is just a little stupid.
A little.
A little.
The understand. Yang snorted. The understatement of the month there, she guessed. Blake was born stupid and deficient in sense, and as well as born deficient in manners. As the crocodile faunus left, Master turned her around slowly. No matter what, I won't let anyone hurt you. I am fond of you. The emission was something that made her heart even beat even faster. Yeah. She looked down, somewhat conflicted as she suddenly impulsively hugged him. He stiffened a little, posture going rigid. Master is a slave. The slave is very fond of you, too. You have given her the slave much. The slave cannot repay it. The words were more formal, using the official high speech, which made him look at her. She would have used it. She would have used I if it had been appropriate, but she'd been reminded again that it couldn't be anything more than master and slave affair. Blake used to hate me, as you know well. She still does, you dumbass. Yeah, her throat. The cat was stupid. Why should he hate someone who shone like the sun? She called me a rapist. She called me all sorts of names. She's a little better now. It feels a little more humble, a little more pliant. It was a light, warm smile that played on her lips, her eyes looking up at him. Does a master want Yang to tame his little degenerate maw? Yeah, borrow a strap-on from Saffron. Her voice curled in the degenerate cat.
A little homosexual degenerate that had been so eager to lead the revolution with the no-breast degenerate.
What?
Make her suck your curious cock, making her that scene in her ruthless master.
Her voice was soft as she leaned against him, her tongue sliding over his chest. She marked him as their saliva as her hands brushed over her upper arms. An officer of the Faunus Management Bureau might need to teach the degenerate girl how to enjoy her honor, perhaps. She teased him with that offer. She owned the uniform after all, and the master enjoyed his little hooker. Yeah, that's a nice idea. His eyes looked at her as she could see his arousal. She could feel the heat, smell the pheromones, She could feel the heat, smell the pheromones, feel the heat. His hand brushing over her outfit.
Jeez. Also, once again, humans do not have pheromones.
Don't worry, in my fullness, I will protect what's mine.
She shared that attitude as she looked at the content expression on her. As she looked with a content expression on her face, her fears banished for the time being. Wait, as she pussied with a content expression on her face. So I get it right. Master, a finger touched her lips as he shook her head softly.
Nobody would dare touch my Yang. If Rumi doesn't like you, it's regrettable. You're safe. You may be an animal, but...
A look on his face as he looked at her with his penis softened.
Don't you mean a pussy on his face as he pussied at her and his penis softened?
A pussy on his face as he pussied at her and his penis softened. There was a penis in the... There was
Great sentence.
There was a pussy in those eyes that her art seemed to love because it kept on beating rapidly.
Looked is used 67 times, look is used 133 times, and eyes is used 67 times, once again.
Holy shit.
I do not repeat any words that many times in a 10,000 word period.
And like I said, it wouldn't even be that bad if he just spaced them out, right? But they're like grouped together, so you're saying like eyes repeat, like fucking, I'm looking at the sentence right now. Yes, in this one paragraph, like, because each of these isn't a paragraph, in this one paragraph you could call a paragraph, there's like 9 uses of the word eyes. It's fucking crazy.
Anyways, we should continue. She beheld his penis, all tender and a world without you is dull and lifeless. She beheld his penis, she beheld his penis, tender and gentle. Her father had blue penis. Blue penis as well. His hair a shade darker.
Kitty, get together, man. Get together, man.
She tried to allow herself to forget, but she forgot the softness of her heart as she pushed him against the bed, making him fall onto it with his on his back. Her hands pressing against his chest,
Master.
A sinuous hiss came from her lips as her tongue brushed over his nip. The bare flesh laid there as she bit down a little the nipple,
Ow.
firming
Ow.
her teeth. He shuddered as her penis vaginaed at him.
Vagina? What?
As her eyes looked at him.
While in case you don't get the context, he's not actually saying that. Every time we use the word eye, that every time the author uses the word eyes, we say penis, and every single time the author says look or looked, we say vagina or pussy.
Oh, let me get to started last chapter.
Oh yeah.
Mine! She could feel the heat burn through her system, infusing her with the sensation as her fingers stroked over his body. Yang, stop! She froze as he ordered her, his voice a little harsher in tone, demanding the obedience of the woman. She vaginaed at him as he smiled at her, her body aflame with desire. He was hers. The cat could be a toy. The others who would be slaves to him would be toys, but she would not bend for anyone who would dare
That's
to
a
claim
lie.
man. To her, he was the only one who she could bow his head, or bow her head. What? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Wait. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. Her voice showed the regret that she felt his fingers brushing over her cheek. He smiled a little as he vaginaed at her with that expression of care and concern. Animals can't help themselves, Yang. It is in their nature. She was just an animal to him.
Just an animal that spoke and talked and made him feel better.
That is bestiality.
She remembered her father's suspicion, his worry and the care. Others would not understand their nature.
Others would hunt them for what they had been born as. She was a slave, born a faunus. Compared to a human, her life was worth nothing. But the value that her master placed on her collar. She whimpered as his hand seized her neck. She submitted as she let him touch her neck.
Yang.
The cough from him was loud as he looked a little amused. She could feel him.
Can you let me get up?
She got up quickly, hastily trying to straighten herself out. She offered a hand, which he took, pulling him up.
I'll get those condoms, Yang. Let's make... He paused mid-sentence, as if trying to remind himself of what he was going to say.
Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. Yeah.
Let's make it a nice evening, Yang. I will need comfort if Lady Rose denies a letter of proposal. She would awake it eagerly. Her man was going to make her happy. She would do her best. She glanced at her pinky finger and then at him. No matter what, I will be with you. Her man required his woman to comfort him. She would be prepared. And I'm going to let you read this courier because I need to rest my throat. And I will...
My eyes hurt from looking at the computer for like fucking 12 hours, but okay.
Sweet.
Just gotta fucking
That's
blink
just
my
like a
eyes.
normal workday for me, man.
Yeah.
I just gotta fucking blink my eyes a bit.
You gotta lick your eyes. Have fun.
Lick my
Licka,
eyes.
licka.
Yeah. Okay. It was hard stopping her. He had to get dressed, not let his pet take him for another ride on the roller coaster of pleasure. It had been hard not to say the word, though he felt sad that he couldn't. She stood there, looking like she wanted to say something to him. Her penises still gazing at him. She was pretty, her skin tanned from exposure to the sun, her golden blonde hair giving her the look of an upper-class woman. She was like a doll, if a doll could look that good. She was gorgeous, and the antlers were the only thing that marked her as a faunus, and thus not human. He'd nearly suggested that they'd make love, a childish term, but it fit. If Lady Rose rejected the letter outright, he would need comfort. Marrying Cinderfall would be a harsh challenge. If his request was denied, he'd... Just for a night. She can be human just for a night. She's an animal and it's wrong, but it's just a night. He wanted to, even if he had to wear a condom, only half feeling her. He wanted to make her feel like they were just two humans, just sharing a moment together. It would be back to being master and slave after that, but I can't love you. She was his property. She was his slave and his toy, his pet, but never his wife, but never a wife, a lover, or a concubine. It wasn't to be, and Ash had cautioned him of that. Faunus thought as Faunus did, yet he knew that he shouldn't feel something for the doe Faunus, but he did. Her zest, her joyous spirit, oh! And
You really know how to make this as painful as fucking possible. Jesus Christ, just fuck already.
You're welcome. Her zest, her joyous spirit, and her eagerness to please. He could feel something inside him that roared like the thunder in the sky, something that was great as he locked penises with her when she was with him. We can be lovers for a night. He barely knew what to do with a woman. He'd had sex with Blake, but whether he was any good was anyone's guess. You want to ask her? No? No? Okay. She'd made sounds, but then again, Yang had been there as well. Yang was definitely the better pet, the better animal. He hoped that Lady Rose would accept the offer. He had done the research. He'd trawled through the long genealogy of the Rose family as far as it had been written. He had checked Cammie's files on her personal desktop, making sure that he cross-referenced every ancestor of the line. He knew that if they went for status alone, Rose edged out Fall only through the skills of Lady Rose. The battle merits in 3 revolts had not been faked. Cinderfall, with no huntress status or training, fell by the wayside of such achievement. Ruby had even been accepted to Beacon a few years early. I did the right thing. I wrote the proposal. All that it needs is witnesses and 2 signatures. He looked at the dresser that he'd put the ring in. It would have been Cinder's if things continued as they were. He glanced at Yang before he walked over, his pants already worn. Okay, what does that have to do with anything? With only his upper body bare. Master? His good pet's voice came. Master? His good pet's voice came, and for a moment he wondered more on whether she would like it. He hoped she would, and he'd like her to act if she didn't. And he'd like her to act if she did like him. Jesus Christ. You would look so pretty in a wedding dress. Blake would too. Australian kimonos probably would suit her better. Fuck off.
What?
Due to being a. Oh yeah, just bring up the word kimonos and fucking yukatas and shit, because
Fuck off.
nobody ever does any research. Fuck you. Australian kimonos would probably suit her better. No, due to being a feline faunus with Australian or menagerie features.
Just say Australian already. He really wants to say it.
Australian, which is funny because no, that's menagerie, I guess, is the equivalent of Australia, but he's also trying to make it the equivalent of Japan and China or something. I don't fucking know. The former settlement of Menagerie had been put to the torch post-revolution, a testament to the faunus's futility of resistance. The small little box that it came in was made of fine wood, carved with the double crescent marks of the family crest. Double crescent marks of the family crest. The lid coated in gold paint to give it that sheen. True gold was too fanciful for a mere training rings box, but it would work, he supposed. He opened the box slowly as he looked at the ring. Yang? He spoke her name, even with his penises vaginaing at her as the golden ring that stood there. It was not opulent, but it would serve as the reminder of the bond between their house. Hold out your hand. I need to practice. He could practice on Ash if he so wished, the woman having gone over it multiple times with him in the span of a week.
But still, I'm gonna stab you.
It would be... No, that's Blake who's gonna stab him. It's fine.
Stay still, I need
It would-
to vagina you.
It would be so easy, but it would be so... But it would... No, that's not how you say that. It would be so easy, but it would also be so hard. Not it would be also so hard. The fucking Jesus.
Oh.
But it would be also so hard, but it also would be fucking... You just gotta swap 2 words, asshole. She looked at him and then at the ring, her penis's vagina at the ring the longest, she extended her hand, penis or vagina. Fuck it, I'll give up. Looking at him, he knelt the ring in his hand without any sort of quiver or quake of his fingers. And with this ring, I make thee my betrothed, our bond to see for the world, or these 5 people at least. The formal words which had to be spoken after the proposal had been ratified by the witnesses and received the signatures of the heads of both households came from his lips as he pushed the ring on her finger. She looked at him and shivered with that look as she looked at him tenderly. She didn't say... Fucking Christ. She didn't say a word as he tugged the ring off her... As... I'm fucking having a stroke trying to read this. She didn't say a word as he tugged the ring off her finger, trying to ignore how it felt. It wasn't possible. It wasn't something that he would ever be able to do, not with the social laws that were in place. Oh, really? Because you fucking ignore those laws much later on, asshole. If my wife-to-be assigns me Faunus as pets, would you mind? His dear Faunus smiled softly as she let her fingers brush over his hand, a comforting gesture as he felt the nervousness go through his whole body, electrifying him with that doubt and hesitation. A man's worth is the number of beauties he gathers for his enjoyment alone. The words were something of a saying from Mistral, he remembered, but he felt some sort of relief, as if her approval was something that he had been waiting for. Master, if you wish your pet to train some more beauties, you have to only ask. He could see her sincerity, the kindness that she had within those eyes. No matter what he asked, she would do it. He pushed the ring back onto her finger before he paused, looking at how it fit onto Yang's finger. It was an attempt to try to wed it was what the fuck is that sentence?
Go on.
It was attempt to try to wed a woman, not it looks good on her. It would look good on his wife, too, he imagined. Both Lady Rose and Ruby had elegant fingers with few calluses. They did not show the true pains of their trade to others, as Lady Rose visited frequently whilst her daughter still had not debuted. A man's status is decided by the number of women he attracts. There was a softness to her voice, a plea that he heard in the voice. Even if the cat does not pleasure you well, I will ensure that you have others to choose from to warm your bed. It wasn't something that was accepted, as he knew that spousal regulations would only allow up to 4 wives at the most for those who needed to rebuild their family post-Grim attack, but he could see Yang and Blake already gathered around him. They both had their qualities. Their personalities were different and contrasting, yet their eyes bright and with that heat and warmth of their views. A little harem, Yang. He pulled the finger from her ring.
He pulled the finger off.
He pulled the ring from her finger, his gaze looking at her, those lilac eyes giving him a sense of trust, of compassion and faith. I was a whore, master. Clients requested. He pressed a finger to her lips to silence her. She shouldn't talk about herself as if she was still a whore. Right now, she was just his personal animal. You're not one now. I said that, didn't I? Never again. He applied some deodorant to his chest.
Uh-huh.
What? Tell me, guys, do you put on deodorant on your fucking chest?
When I'm going on a hiking trip, yeah.
He's not going on a hiking trip.
Yeah, so it makes no fucking sense.
I could understand under the arms, because those sweat even when you do get nervous, or when you get nervous, but not your chest, that doesn't sweat. He applied some deodorant to his chest before starting on the cologne, which would cover up the deodorant anyway, so it's fucking pointless. He had to look appropriate for what he was going to ask. Also, that would be antiperspirant, not deodorant. My master will need women to see to his needs. Her voice was curter than before, her eyes looking at him. As I am but one Faunus slave, and Blake is yet untested for her loyalty. Well, she's already been tested, and she failed a million times.
She failed every time.
Every time. I will ensure that you have a choice. I'd need to survive the proposal first, Yang. It is the way of the world. Those strong enough to claim their due. Her eyes blazed as she looked at him. They slowly turned a deeper, more vivid color. The ox has attempted to lay claim to me, master. He was not strong like you are. He was not worthy of my loyalty. Her eyes peered into his as she knelt before him. Her forehead rested against the ground in that deep bow. She said something that he couldn't quite understand before she looked at him. Her eyes went back to normal, their gaze soft. All below the heavens will know that I am thine. He had to remind himself that she was a Faunus, that she wasn't human. Those eyes were like a beacon as he swallowed. She looked fragile and yearning. He seized her chin and then knelt, kissing her on the lips. She didn't move much as their lips just melted together into a dance of tongues, her breathing louder as a sound came from her mouth. Ugh. His hand grabbed hers and the feeling was so natural as the ring slid into place. It felt natural, but it was wrong. It was wrong to think
It
of
felt
taking...
natural, but wrong.
It was wrong to think of taking this woman as a wife, to take this Faunus as your wedded spouse. He remembered the vision of taking the lives of the Faunus and reaping them after what they had taken from him. The him of the future had been bitter and cold since the light had been torn from his life. I know, and you were so much interesting for it. You were so much interesting when you went full Adolf Hitler mode. At least then you had a personality and fucking characters, sort of. He held her hand as he pulled from her. She looked tender as her gaze went to their locked hands. His heart was beating faster as he didn't want to let go. He felt terrible feeling like this. Blake was special, no. But with Yang, it's such a terrible fate that you were born a Faunus. He didn't want to let go, but he had to, getting up. She looked sad to see him go, emotions that played on her features, emotions that felt so human to his eyes that it was as if there were no divide between the two, between faunus and humans. But there is. They will rape us, kill us. She was an animal to the world. She would never be accepted unless he reached a sustainably high enough office to change those laws. Wait, one person can change? Okay, whatever. He didn't believe that Yang would ever hurt him. Anastasia had been bad, but she'd disappeared. He'd had his appendix removed afterwards, so he'd probably been too loopy due to the medication. Also, can you see that twist coming? Oh, it was something best done early. Although I don't know how you fucking can like forget
What
somebody.
twist?
Basically, they reveal later on or whatever that the reason she disappeared or whatever, and they were being cautious with him, is that the Anastasia or whatever like gored him using her horns and like tore out his appendix.
That's supposed to be a twist.
Somehow, I think, yeah, but he doesn't remember it or whatever due to trauma or semblances or some bullshit. I don't know. It was something best done early in life before it would make problems down the line, Ash had said. He didn't quite remember why, though. You're a good girl, Yang, he said, getting up slowly. The ring glistened on her finger. She wasn't human, but let's make sure to have fun tonight, Yang. If I'm going to be rejected and Ruby will hate me, so be it. Master is the best, she said, her voice low and touched as his hand held hers still. She was like a princess compared to him, a knight seeking her favor. He could take her as if she wished to, and she would not resist. Those eyes spoke a story, one that showed trust. I didn't know animals could feel like that. Can you prepare the room for tonight? Make sure that it
I didn't know a
smells
filthy human like I didn't know a filthy animal like you could actually think.
nice. Make sure
Jesus.
that it smells nice and comfortable.
How
Even
is
if you
something
had to
smell
find
comfortable?
it smells nice and comfortable, like stale piss.
Ah, yes, I love the smell of comforting.
Oh yes, the smell of cheeseburgers are so comforting.
Even if you have to find a different fragrance, something that you like, because he paused, even saying it was not polite, but he wanted to say it. The first moment that he had looked at her, he'd seen that side of her that she showed to him. Remember when this was a Nightshade fanfic? Yeah. Because my partner tonight will be you, if my proposal is rejected. Lady Rose was a wild card in the plans. No other family would dare to deny the inherit of the Ark's family proposal without serious consideration. But Summer Rose was someone who did not play by the rules. She was a loose cop. Ruby was a good young girl, her bride price at least a quarter of someone's estate, through virtue of being born the only daughter. Daughter of Crow Branwyn. Of course, master. She would be allowed to call him by his first name tonight, if things did not go according to plan. A thrill shot through him. She would be his woman, and probably the last vestige of good feelings that he could cling to. Wow, a sentence that actually isn't terrible. He smiled as he straightened his shirt out a little, making sure everything was perfect, putting some cologne on the shirt as well, the jacket with the formal crest of Ark on its breast in gold and stitching straightened out. He checked his reflection in the mirror as Yang bustled around behind him. Blake is known to the Rose family head. It will be good to let her meet Mother as well. Yang looked a little uncomfortable with the thought of his mother, and he couldn't quite blame her for feeling like that. His mother had a temper, with her opinion on faunus well known. Yeah, until 30 chapters from now where she's getting eaten out by them, it's fine. Camilla was second worst, but she wasn't that bad. She isn't that bad, Yang. I hope you can be a good pet and make sure that Mother does not take offense. She nodded at him, and he smiled back at her. Give me a kiss, Yang. It was a soft kiss as their lips pressed together, and he felt that heaviness in his heart, feeling the weight settle there as he pulled from the faunus lips. Aside from the antlers, the remembrance to her species that she had on her head, there was nothing different about her. It would be fun to pretend to be lovers with her. She was a good pet, nothing more. It would be an act. It would be pretending to be, because it was not proper. Blake Belladonna watched carefully as she saw the woman, the cheerful daughter meeting her mother with a cheerful wee that came from the heart. Reached into the mouth. Wee! It was heartening to see such joy, even if it was from a dirty human girl who had undoubtedly gotten greater strength from her training. So, we played games and John's new pet was decent at it. You should see her. The gaming had been interesting. She hadn't known about it before, and she kind of liked it. Seeing the trader deer get into it had been surprisingly amusing, but she kept silent. The crocodile fauna stood at her side, keeping a very strict gaze trained on her, though she was not commenting yet. Woohoo! Does my little rosebud have a crush? Liking girls isn't okay, you know. The girl's mother with a teasing tone to her voice. The woman who appeared to be the master's mother was not looking very pleased with the insinuation. Summer Rose! The harsh tone of the woman's voice was like the crack of a whip, as the woman looked at her companion and associate, perhaps even friend. You will not talk about such degeneracy under my roof. It is bad enough that you keep on... It is bad enough that you keep on rejecting all the proposals that come your way. The Marigold family offered a ransom for your hand, and you spat your drink in their face. Let alone what the offers will be for your daughter. I actually like that voice. There will be the voice I did. There will be a light laugh from the woman in response to that comment. As long as I've got a daughter, I don't need a man to bother with. That's not creepy at all.
That doesn't imply that you're fucking your daughter at all.
No, that's not creepy at all. The woman certainly didn't seem to like it. As the silver-eyed gaze met hers, she flinched back, the intensity increasing a little as she shuddered, the white cloak-wrapped figure standing before her in what seemed to be a flash. My. A hand grabbed her chin, and she was forced to look into the eyes. The girl that John slammed his pecker into. She wanted to hide away, as those silver eyes came to look into hers, a shiver shooting through her flesh. As those silver eyes filled her vision, a primal fear as they stared into her own for a while, the woman's grip tightening a little before it passed. Passable. She can awaken her aura, if you wish it. She's got the spark. Blake shivered as the woman's hand let go of hers. She felt as if she'd stared into the eyes of one of the people who determined her fate. Something about those silver eyes evoking a primal fear inside her. Lady Ark, the young master, has expressed the desire to meet with you for tea. He has prepared a letter of intent in order to make his wishes known to the wife of the family head. The amused smile on the mother's face was enough to show to Blake that it was something terribly amusing to the woman. Even as the woman's face fell onto her, disgust and what might just be straight-up hate for her kind showed in that gaze, as the dismissal was within those eyes. Eyes that looked very similar to the young man who had been her owner, who was not too bad. Very well. Camilla? Very well. Camilla? Or wait, no, that's fucking Rose speaking, because we never fucking... Camilla! The uniformed member of the Ark family standing there a little forlornly spoke up, her mother's stern gaze resting on her. Explain why your brother has prepared a letter of intent whilst he is still betrothed to Lady Fall. There was something that played between the sisters, the identical twins merely looking a little dazed, swaying where they stood. Their pale blue dresses only varying in their stitching, a slow look in their eyes, as if they were rousing from their sleep. He has been touched by my semblance, mother. Blake could see the look on the woman's face change, something that changed in those eyes, as we repeat our same fucking point 70 more million times. Anger and fear mingling together. Camilla Ark did not look happy, as she swallowed. Blake could smell fear. Smell fear. The power in the house rested within the young man who was her owner and his father, with this mother being the one who guarded the den, the look given to her daughter something that went beyond. I see, a smile on her face as she motioned for the twins. Helena, Artemis, please guide Lady Rose and her daughter to the sitting room with the faunus attendants. It seems some unforeseen events have happened. My apologies, Summer. The woman was not intimidating with her build, nor was she intimidating in the way that one would describe to power, but Blake felt a chill go through her as she saw that sheer livid rage in those eyes. She had seen it in the eyes of the traitor Doe before, and she had seen it in the gaze of the dog faunus who served the degenerate sister, but to see something like that in the eyes of a human was different.
The eyes, it's called the eyes of the eyes of the eye.
Eyes. Like I said, it wouldn't be that bad if they just spaced it out, but they'll go like 2 or 3 paragraphs without saying eyes or look, and then they'll just have one paragraph where they say eyes and looked like 15 times. Yeah, 20 times. It's fucking insane. Come, Ruby, it looks like someone's going to say something to Azzy. Maybe he'll propose for you when you're when you're of the majority. Betrothal contract state the time, after all. A soft chuckle came from the woman as she ran a hand through her short hair, shaking it lightly, her daughter's cheeks hot. Blake followed behind the woman, her sharp ears catching the conversation in that strange language she still couldn't understand. The mother was not happy with her eldest daughter. So these two aren't much fun. How's being a slave been for you, Blake? How's being
How are you enjoying slavery?
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. The woman addressed her by name, something that she didn't expect, the twin sisters looking at the older woman and keeping their silence still, as they continued along. Do I answer? Truthfully, probably not, because they'd probably cut your head off. She has trouble adjusting, Lady Rose, the crocodile answered for her, a look sent at her to keep her mouth shut. Her faunus ears could hear the older woman tear into her daughter, the sound bouncing through the open space, the uniformed woman getting a tongue lashing, it seemed, if the tone was right. Oh, perhaps you'll adjust a little more when you've got a good friend. Wasn't there some new pet that was brought in? Lady Rose spoke lightly as Ash nodded once. A deer, Faunus. The distaste within that voice could be understood perfectly. There were no real deer Faunus that had done much of note in the history of the Faunus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were all
And so
fucking
because-
disgusting cowards.
Yeah, and so because of that,
You're a bunch of fucking cowards.
yeah, the Four had always had the dominion over the Faunus as a whole, as far as she knew it. Ooh, pretty. I knew a deer Faunus. She had like itty bitty titties. Swore like a damn sailor too.
Ooh, ooh.
The daughter flushed as Lady Rose's words were scandalous, her eyes looking as vibrant as they did whenever they did not meet hers. To meet her eyes was to feel
Scandalous.
a fear force its way into her body. Mom, the girl whined, and Blake felt a dash of sympathy, knowing that her own mother would tease her just like this. Try to act your age. The woman didn't seem to hear her daughter, as her attention was absorbed by the crocodile Faunus. Oh, no. She's got small titties like Blake here and a nice ass. John's an ass man. This lady just knows it. Also, Blake does not have small tits, but whatever. Mom, the
If anything,
embarrassed
their
sound.
tits have just been getting bigger as the show goes on.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't call C like a C cup tits or whatever in America at least small. Maybe B's or whatever, definitely A's, but not C.
All of those are considered underage if you're in Australia.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm not even kidding.
Mom! The embarrassed sound turned up even louder as the older, well, because Australia can go fuck itself because they're weird there.
Mhm.
The people in Australia are great, but the government can go fucking kill itself, in my opinion. The fawn is keeping a stoic face, but if you're from Australia, you're fucking great. I love you, but I hate your government. The fawn is keeping a stoic face throughout it all. Stop embarrassing me in front of Artie and Helly! The two twin sisters barely responded, the nickname something that must be known to both, neither really caring about it, as neither do I. I'm here on this world to annoy you, sweetheart. The warmth in that tone was so human that it made Blake nearly gag. So, we'll be family if you ask my little Ruby. There was a look between the twins and they responded as one. Nice. Nice. It was creepy, Blake thought, yeah, as the two continued on their way, entering a large sitting room, chairs and seats already arranged. 10 chairs for the Ark family, with a large low table that had been prepared for tea. The twins sat on their seats together as I really have to try tea one of these days. Anyway, as Lady Rose and her daughter Ruby occupied one of the seats, there was a high-backed chair next to it. Their crocodile started to spread out the treats and such as the woman worked on getting tea made. Blake just stood there, uncertain of what she should do. She watched the two women and the twins just look at each other. Summer Rose's eyes looking at her direct trained huntsman did. Every threat in the room was analyzed. No, Blake thought, and she was dismissed. No, that's not what a huntress does. A huntress fucking jumps into the situation without planning and then justifies it afterwards.
Yep.
Whether it was the supreme confidence of the women or the ability that held some extra knowledge about the world, she didn't know, but those eyes looked at her and then looked away. The sisters came first, the pale-faced degenerate slumping down on her chair, her gaze hollow as she looked at her with a look that made goose flesh crawl over her skin. Argent Ark sat down next to her, tapping away at a device that seemed to be called a scroll. Auburn seated herself next to Saffron, humming a light tune as Juniper and Camilla entered together, their mother behind them, shutting the door. It was a soft click of the door, yet it felt like the cell door being slammed shut. Welcome, guests. The woman spoke with a friendly tone, though Blake could smell the anger on the woman's body, the anger bitter scent mixing with her own. We have brought you refreshments.
Anger.
We have brought you refreshments and hope that you will receive our kindness. My son wishes to come and join our gathering. Lady Rose spoke up next. Lady Rose accepts the kindness of the Ark family. Allow the young man entrance if he has decided to grace us with his presence. She did not know the manner in which the conversation went, but they were talking in the common language. The crocodile faunus left her then, departing to find the young master, as had been instructed. She watched as the mother poured herself a cup of tea before filling the other cups, neither Ruby Rose nor her mother Summer denying the tea. Okay, your turn now, Kitty.
Yep. Let me just get this air out of my system here.
I told
We're
you we're
almost
fucking...
done, right?
I was gonna say, yeah, I told you we're fucking doing this fast. We're 2/3 of the way through, and it's only 9:18.
Oh,
I told you, man. Only 10,000 words. Only.
10,000 words!
Only 10,000 words.
Nervousness inside him as he held the document in hand, the handwriting as best he could make it. If Lady Rose did not have the best opinion, he would need to make something happen. You've done the research, all things are correct, there is no valid reason, save for personal taste, that she can deny it. Ruby would hate him for it, but he would bear that shame. She was his friend and tolerant of many of his faults and flaws.
A bright, sunny girl that he would have to hurt.
She'll enjoy it though. Marriage to Cinderella Fall. Ew. Cinderfall was not going to happen if he moved first. They're expecting you, Mr. Jean. The comforting voice of Ash was heard. He took a deep breath. Yang gave him a quick hug, something that he allowed. He was going to have to break with protocol. His steps felt heavier as he was led to the sitting room by Ash, the faunus woman, moving with steady steps. No. He could spot several of the faunus house slaves looking at the two of them. He knew that there was something in the air as they got out of the way. Ash was respected, diplomatic, and tactful, he knew. I have with me the second copy, Master Jean. The woman said, holding the handwritten second copy. Her handwriting was much neater. I almost read that as meteor. Much neater than his own, but it functioned just as well as the copy that he kept for the official archive in the basement. Why? Why do you have an archive in the basement of your fucking house?
I don't fucking...
I'm nervous. He admitted as they stood in front of the door, Ash giving him a soft smile. They love you and they will accept your choice, little yellow deaths. Your mother's signature and Lady Rose's signature is the most important, and if you get them, you will get what you desire. It breaks tradition, it breaks etiquette, but if it makes you happier. He knew that he was consigning Ruby to shame, but he was not going to suffer some indignation because of his future spouse attempting to steal that which had been his since birth. Sometimes a man had to do something that they found distasteful. He knocked formally on the door, Ash turning the door handle and opening it for him, walking behind him as a slave should. He looked at his 7 sisters, Saffron's face looking tired and worn, and the others in varying states of awareness. The cups of tea had been filled, and he took a deep breath, looking at Ruby for an instant. Silver eyes met his eyes that belonged to his best friend, someone who always had time for him. She smiled at him brightly. The guilt inside him welled up.
I'm going to rape you now.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon, Sean. His mother Azalea greeted as he spotted
Please
Blake's
bend backwards as I rape you.
It was all in the details now as he turned to face his family and gave the bow of fealty. He made sure to let it last for as long as he could, closing his eyes as his mother's light cough told him to straighten out once more. You can do this. Another bell. He bowed before Lady Rose and her daughter, Ruby. Ruby's shoes were glittering red, shimmering in the light from the lamps. It was Lady Rose who made a soft clicking sound with her tongue, the cue for him to stop his bow. He tried to keep his face neutral as he took a deep breath. I, Jean of the House Arc, request that you read this letter of intent, Lady Rose. His voice was unwavering as it could be, taking to a knee. Silence fell over the room as he held out the letter, looking at Summer Rose, the woman's white cloak covering as much of her upper body. The dark corset that she wore below reinforced with stiff leather, the curves of her body much like her daughter's, except matured and ripened to something. That could be Ruby in 10 years. If she declined to read it, he would be finished. He could only declare a letter of intent once per official gathering, and things would probably be post-announcement with Ruby's status. I, Lady Summer of the House Rose, accept this letter of intent as requested by Inheritor Arc. The formal tone of her voice could
Barely be heard as they rose once more. She read the first line before looking up with a mysterious smile playing on her lips.
Lady Rose accepts this marriage proposal to the house. Rose is unacceptable to discuss. Does Lady Ark of the house agree? There's a soft murmur from his sisters. The clones. The clones.
That's what he calls the two twin sisters or whatever.
Stupid. The clones looking at him with their usual low energy eyes. Artemis raising a slight smile as his mother's eyes close, a sign that she was thinking. Agreement with the proposal by inheritor to the House Ark. The proposal can be read. Kirlia, be the executor. Inheritor John, son of my blood, leave the room so that we may deliberate.
You mean executor, right? You said executor.
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 He's a fucking executor, don't you know?
She's the judge, jury, and executioner.
Mhm.
He bowed stiffly to his mother as he left the room. Mother was formal, of course. Tea gatherings were when they could just talk freely and yet hold up the status that they enjoyed. Mother liked tea. She usually had a pot around because she said it made her think better.
Is tea actually any good?
It depends. There's a lot of different types of tea. So my favorites tend to be a mixture of black and mint. Though green teas are also alright.
Green tea.
There's a lot of floral teas out there. A lot of ones have berries. If you like bitter drinks, tea is going to be something that you'll really enjoy. Though if you go with British teas, they tend to be served with
Sweeter.
some milk and some sugar and some honey.
Yeah. I really need to try tea one of these days.
But
Sounds interesting.
I generally drink my tea straight.
Do you bother with tea bags or whatever, or do you just use the stuff that you just dump in there?
I steep it. I can steep it with tea bags. I'd use that if I'm feeling lazy. But if I want to actually have like a good, proper custom blend that I make from time to time, then I use a tea cage. Just like cage you lock and after throwing the leaves in there.
The stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, kitchen time with Kitty.
I could do a podcast on my cooking alone.
I'd be interested in that.
Acceptance of the proposal by both parties had been reached. The hard part was now coming, as Lady Rose would look through the letter and not pluck it apart. His mother could apply counter-arguments, but he hoped that the woman would agree. It would be shameful for him, but he would not marry someone whose children might not bear his blood.
Rather dishonor than to be cuckolded by a wife whose intent was nefarious.
He thought he'd hear a light cheer as he closed the door and waited outside, one of his sisters giving a loud whoop, and finally! But that might have just been an illusion or trick of the mind. He knew that his mother would likely fetch him once the accord had been finished. He sat himself down on a chair outside, sighing. I hope they'll accept it. Finally! Blake Welch's Juniper Ark pumped a fist, and the Rose girl looking uncomfortable as the sisters did a little cheer, their mother looking as unflappable as ever. Camellia Ark in her uniformed glory looking through the contract. One of her gloves was off, stroking over the paper with an unreadable look. The gross hand looked like it was caressing every letter. Truly, decorum is lost on my daughters. My apologies, Summer. The woman smiled broadly at her friend, Blake feeling discomfort once those silver eyes looked at her. The woman nudged her daughter as she smirked. See? I knew you were sweet on him, and he feels the same. That's what you think, Har.
Because nobody's gonna bother to read it.
It was pride in the woman's tone, and Blake wondered what her mother would think of her current situation as it was now. She wondered about her own future with the girl being proposed to. What? Mom, I thought nobody knew. Saffron Ark snorted. You'd have to be blind not to know. He's not that good at picking up on those cues, but he's a good little brother, I approve. I think this means I win the pot. I told you that we should have put the clause in to spread the money around. Juniper Ark said with a bold smile, Blake watching as the other sisters pouted, save for Auburn, who merely sniffed docilely.
Yeah, the one lady who can see the future. I wonder why she's looking so fucking smug and satisfied with herself.
Juniper Ark said with a bold smile, Blake looking, really smiled docilely. You were betting on him proposing to me? The youngest girl's voice sounded like an offended squeak as her mother laughed. We're allowed a bit of fun. We don't really like the fall woman much. Dad was the one who selected her because John needed a wife, but yeah. At least you're close to him in age. She came to visit twice whilst you and father were absent, Mother. Juniper Ark spoke as she grinned, looking at her sisters. Pay up, you lousy little tramps. I won fair and square. It isn't over until the ring is on the finger. That's what we bet on, Junie Woony. Auburn Ark spoke up and Juniper grumbled, Camellia sighed. I can't see anything negative about this one. If it's about accepting this one. If it's denied, it'll be bad, but it'll work out somehow when it's accepted. The mother's stern gaze directed towards her oldest daughter, who put her glove back on, was something. The mother's stern gaze directed towards her oldest daughter, who put her glove back on, was something that made the oldest sister flinch. I don't know. It's not negative, at least. Good. Hand it to Lady Rose. Blake watched as the sisters started a hushed discussion, hands moving and motioning, as the conversation went too quickly to really follow. Too quick to really follow. It needs a Lee in there. Watching the Rose woman look through the writing, a snort came from the woman's nose as she looked at it. Ooh, old-fashioned terms. As he called me Lady Rose. Isn't your boy adorable? Some bits about the age difference, but that's negligible. Ruby technically gets eligible when she's officially debuting. The woman didn't seem to be affected too much by the nickname as the woman parsed through the document. Reaching the bottom line, the woman frowned a little, Lady Rose's finger over the line. He went with the full name. Oh, fancy. Well, this looks fine. If it's for my daughter, it's going to be alright. And here comes the twist. The broad smile was like the sun rising as the woman handed the document to the lady of the Ark family who read through it. Sign it. Her owner's mother inquired as she shifted a little in her seat as she read through it. Lady Rose pulling out a small metal box, pulling out a long stamp-like thing. An inking pad was pulled out as well, made functional with the ink that she let drip into it. Onto it.
And a red candle.
Lady Ark and a red candle. Lady Ark mumbled as she pulled out a ring of sorts from a small satchel that had been woven into her dress. It was one of her twin daughters who fetched the candle, lighting it with a light. No, you're gonna light it with a fucking book. Lighting it with a lighter, a quill produced. An archaic method, Blake knew, but valid. Her father had explained it to her once. I have a copy here as well, Lady Ark. Wait, I have a copy here as well, Lady Ark. The crocodile faunus remarked, but the woman waved the faunus off. Sign this one first, then copy. Is a courier prepared already? The crocodile faunus nodded. It had all been prepared. Blake could tell, a good system for getting the information around. See? Everything will be fine. He likes you, you like him. Would you have rather gotten married to the Winchester? The older Rose woman spoke to her daughter, who looked red-faced as the tools were being compared. I'm afraid there will be no ring provided up to standard. He has a practice ring for fiancés, not something that would suit a Rose. There was a shimmer of a smile on the woman's face as she shook her head. I got my little Ruby out of wedlock, so don't worry about it. Crow is a good father to her. Isn't Crow her brother?
No. Uncle, technically.
No, I mean, like, Summer's brother.
No, Raven is Crow's sister.
Oh.
They were just on the same team in Beacon, so.
Oh.
Yeah. Because Tai Yang, or whatever, Ruby's dad, was also at some point married to Raven, which makes Crow her uncle, so.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got my little Ruby out of wedlock, so don't worry. Wait, so... Oh, I don't want to think about it. Crow is a good father to her. There was a pause as Ruby's eyes blinked. But you said he was my uncle. He even said so. She sounded a little betrayed as her mother smiled at him. Blake didn't think that it mattered much as long as you were loved by your parents. Uncle, father, it was quite a scandal when you were born, my little Rosebud. Not that I regret giving birth to you, though. The girl pouted, looking at her mother, who smiled back apologetically. The woman's face looked a little forlorn, something in those eyes changing. He's listed as your father on the birth certificate. He acknowledges you as my daughter, and that's all that matters. The man's name sounded a little familiar, but Blake didn't dwell on it. Not fair. He wouldn't tell me that he was my dad. The girl pouted. Blake would find it adorable if it wasn't such a situation where each of the Ark family members could find a reason to punish her. She did not want another session with the degenerate sister if she could prevent it. The mother snapped her fingers, and the crocodile faunus went for the door once more, opening it up, and her sister and her owner entered. He looked nervous as the woman adopted serious faces once more. She could smell the nervousness on his body as he looked at them. Is it okay? Do you approve? He asked his mother, who gave a single nod. She had finished her cup of tea and was in the process of putting it down on the table again, a sigh of relief coming from him. Blake could see the small smiles on the sisters' faces, as only Auburn and Ark seemed to be absent of mind. Good. I guess we sign now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please understand this was the only way. The girl showed remarkable self-control as she nodded once. Blake could see excitement bubbling beyond the facade as the mother grabbed the quill and dipped it into the inkwell, writing her name onto the paper. A visible relief came from her owner as his mother did so. The seal pressed down on the paper below the signature for both the women and their respective families. Blake couldn't see how it looked, yet she felt that things were proceeding according to plan. Lady Rose? The woman smiled at him and winked. He looked happier now as he released a deep breath he'd been holding. I, Summer Rose, mother of Ruby Rose, accept this proposal of betrothal with intent to wed. The words were spoken with at the tone of someone in command as the woman took the quill, signing her name on the line. Alright, now the other one. The stamping of the woman's seal was there as the candle was held up to the document, dripping the wax onto the paper in 2 spots. A thick glob of candle wax was pressed by the seal of Azalea Ark, and another was pressed by the seal of Summer Rose, apparently fulfilling some condition. Thank you. Let me just write my name on the line. He was the last to put the quill to paper, a flourishing scribble as his mother's face showed some slight displeasure at his handwriting. Camellia Ark, who was looking at the proceedings, cleared her throat. As executor of this proposal, I declare that it has been witnessed and sealed. Let it be known that the House of Ark and the House of Rose are now officially betrothed. Her owner smiled as he looked at his new mother-in-law for a moment before smiling at Ruby. I had no other choice, Ruby. I'm sorry. The girl smiled at the young man that she had a crush on and more. Blake thought it awfully sweet, someplace deep inside her, that the human girl had such a crush on her best friend. She would never have a crush on a boy. That's what you think, whore.
Adam counted as a man. Yeah.
Adam counted as a man. Plus, he was the ox. That was much more important.
He was so much of a man that you could call it rape and pedophilia when you two were dating. So yeah.
And he's been castrated, so he's not much of a man anymore, is he?
No.
It's okay. You had to ask, and we accepted. He looked a little embarrassed as he smiled sheepishly. I'd best fetch the ring. Can you get it to the courier after the second copy is signed? His sister nodded, and the process repeated itself with the seals on the second proposal. It was all ratified. Her owner was confident, even for the man that he was. She felt an odd sense of pride well up in him for doing something like that. Such a decision was harder to make in Faunus culture, but she could understand what the young man had wanted. All man wanted some fresh fields to plow after all. What? She had been virgin herself, plowed by his raping cock, but he might have been better than what awaited her otherwise. She remembered velvet, silenced forevermore, mutilated and colored like a beast. Camellia put the proposal letter into an envelope and then handed it to the crocodile Fangs, who disappeared out the door together with the young master of the house. Blake wasn't sure whether the atmosphere should be this great. It felt like there was a festival about to break out as the sisters started to murmur to each other, their faces showing different expressions, Summer Rose giving a little whoop. Yes, I never had a wedding, but now I get to plan one. The chicken was the only one who insisted on getting one. Blake didn't know who the woman talked about, but there was a certain joy to the woman's actions as Azalea Ark, the mother that she only briefly met, spoke up. And what will you do with the official announcement? You made a proposal for the spot of first wife. The seniority rules dictate that. The huntress waved it off. Don't sweat it, Azzy. If those stuffy guys at the council go and make a fuss, I'll kick their ass. Violence is the supreme authority from which all other authority is derived, after all.
Or derived. Yay. Yay,
Summer
yay,
Rose,
Starship Troopers.
Beat her proposals and assholes who want to get at my money and status. Dad said it said only a hero could marry me, and so here I am, single and happy as a clam. Not that he's very happy being absent of meat, but hey, I've got a guy to bully now to do work for us around the house. My breath smells like pizza.
We're almost done.
Almost.
There was a faint murmur in the background. Blake noticed about something. You will live here. We always allow family to stay. The mother spoke up warmly as the mother of Ruby smiled in return. It'd be nice moving from that old shack into this one, though it'll be a bit of time before I'll just be having docile faunus around. Blake didn't know why, but something about the woman's manner just freaked her out. Silver eyes met hers for a moment, and Summer Rose smiled at her, and she felt fear shoot through her. The silver eyes meeting hers and sending sparks of fear through her. No! He has 2 mongrel pets, Summer. Ruby, you don't mind that he keeps them, do you? The girl looked at Blake as well as the mother of her owner spoke up. Azalea Ark was giving her a look, and for a moment she felt the specter of death slide over her. The girl looked a little sad, though, not quite okay with it.
Girls' eyes look. Can this motherfucker use different words?
No.
They can be fun in bed. Trust me, you'll enjoy it. I've had... Summer stopped herself, coughing awkwardly. Let's say that I've had to seek comfort in my partner and her man a few times, which was not all that uncomfortable, to say the least. It wasn't all bad being with a faunus and your best friend. Things were different back then. Ugh. The warning look that the woman got made the topic something to not be discussed if Blake guessed right. Degeneracy for the woman.
Disgusting.
At least there had been a man involved. She could ignore the fact that the blonde trader had made her feel arousal. Yes, she wasn't a degenerate. Yes, you are. Nor did she like the thought of being with another woman. Yes, you do. Camellia Ark was looking through the letters, better written twin, reading the words that were there, her face looking more stern. The door opening up as the young master of the house entering once more. Sorry, I had to find the box and put it in again. It was... well, it doesn't matter. The flush on her master's cheek was a little cute, she'd admit. Her eyes caught the small box as he took a knee before the 2 members of the Rose family. Mother and daughter shifted a little automatically. Both looked a little nervous, the mother giddier than the daughter, who looked a little skittish. This was a big decision for them. And with this ring I make thee my betrothed, our bond to see for the world. Camellia Ark swore loudly as she finished reading the letter of the proposal, looking up from the letter.
Yes, because nobody read the fucking letter except for her.
That he desired to marry and slid the finger onto the proper finger. Thank you, he said to his new fiancée as he turned the ring slightly to show the Ark crest that had been etched into the small band. It was Camellia Ark who spoke up, her voice sounding somewhat pained. Ruby's face showed shock as she just stared at the ring that had been put onto the ring finger. Congratulations, Summer Rose. You're now officially Mother's future daughter-in-law. What?
She's saying as in, because the fucking if whoever your son marries is if your mom is your daughter-in-law, so.
It doesn't. The structure is so fucking bad.
I know. I get what they're trying to. I get what they're trying to say. It's just written horribly.
Mouth opening once and giving a soft "heh, heh." Then those eyes rolled back in her head, and as she fainted, as the matriarch of the Ark family dropped the teapot in her lap. The scream of pain was absent for a moment as the hot tea just sank into the heavy dress that the woman wore, as shock just dominated both sides of the female occupants of the room that were human. The stunned realization of what he'd just done, as jaws slackened and both sides just froze up. This doesn't look like a very happy moment. Auburn Ark summed it up in the most succinct manner before her mother started to scream in pain from the hot tea. Blake thought the words sounded smug. I win. He betroths himself to Summer. That means I win.
Motherfucker, you can see the future. You don't fucking get the goddamn bet. Fuck you. You don't win. Oh, Jesus.
Always read the contract details. Never expect anything. Always reread it.
Nobody even fucking read the goddamn thing, evidently.
Ah!
Because guess what? Whenever you have a fucking contract, the two things on that contract that aren't going to be like in fucking fine print detail are the names of the two goddamn people on the fucking contract. You dumb motherfucker.
Yes.
And he can't just say Lady Rose because that could be fucking implying either one of them. He has to fucking say their full goddamn name out, which they implied that he did. So it would be Lady Summer Rose, not Lady Ruby Rose. Fucking mother of God.
Meaning, they read it, and they didn't realize what it was saying. They didn't pay
Yes.
attention while they were reading it.
They didn't read the word summer, I guess. They just fucking skipped over that word and just saw Lady and Rose.
Poor Ruby.
I mean, just skipping over stuff and assuming that it looks right. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
people do that.
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's how it always goes, eh, bud?
Also, this guy's comment. Ah, yes, incest between mother and daughter. Yes, this is very normal. As the saying goes, it's only gay if they touch.
It's only gay if the balls touch. Yeah, that was fucking garbage.
What do you guys think of that chapter?
Fucking garbage.
Garbage!
I wish we'd watched Ruby.
I know, but this was faster.
I think, did you just say I wish we bought Ruby?
Yes, I did just say that.
Alright, just checking. So yeah, half the time I didn't know what the fuck was going on because the words were repeating so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear, half the words in this fucking thing were just the same words used like 20 fucking times in a single paragraph. That reminds me, I hate this person's writing structure. Why don't they have proper fucking paragraphs? Why do they hit... Okay.
We have plenty of time. We have plenty of time for angry rants, Kitty. Fucking go for it, you beautiful bastard.
He's kind of right.
Okay, I need to find it. 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 He looked. I need to find it. Controller. He looked.
Look, you need to look for the look to look.
Where the fuck was it? 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 Where the fuck was it?
You're looking for a single piece of shitty dialogue, really, in this thing? It should be like a fucking... You should be a man surrounded by gold right now. God damn it.
I was so pissed off by this one that I barely fucking contained myself. Okay, it's further down. You know what? We can fucking use this. This is a good fucking example. It's okay. You had to ask, and we accepted. He looked a little embarrassed as he smiled sheepishly. Why is there a fucking line break there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You line break with dialogue when you start talking when it's a quote from another fucking character other than the one that started the sentence.
There's so many,
Listen,
there's so many
Kitty.
line
I
breaks
had
you
no
can't do.
other choice. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that's because that's why in this fucking fanfic you can never tell who is speaking or whatever. You have to like use fucking inference or like figure out who's speaking after the fact because of the fucking line breaks, right? You
There
know?
was one case where it was literally like two fucking words that mentioned something. One person was saying something, and then two words to describe his fucking face or whatever. It was above.
You know, in a moving conversation, like a tabletop game or board game or something, you can get away with somebody not realizing what character's speaking. Usually there's a lot of them. Here, we usually look at like 3 or 4 people at a time. You should be able to tell who the fuck's speaking.
Yes, especially since we all know at this point, or since everybody's names have been mentioned, you know?
I can't
Or
fucking...
their race.
My god.
Yeah.
Always fucking make sure your sentence structure is correct when it comes to dialogue. At the very least, you can have trashy dialogue, but if it's at least structured correctly, people aren't gonna be as pissed as I am now.
Yep.
My lord.
You insult the good work of writing. Is what you do?
Yes, and this person has been writing since like 2015 or 2016, and they haven't fucking improved a single.
They have not improved at all. I can
This
okay. I
this
can
story was.
compare the
I was gonna
first.
say this. Sorry, I was just gonna say this story was published in 2018, I think. By the way, so
I can compare the first chapters of my book to the current chapters and see the vast difference in the quality of writing, how many errors I make, and how the flow is better in some ways, and like I can see the difference in writing because I can see how my style changed a little bit over time.
Yep.
I am beyond frustrated by how this person did not get any better at writing
Nope.
at all.
You're frustrated. I'm disgusted.
they make no attempt to improve at all, not even a
Literally,
little.
they dismiss any fucking criticism of their shit with, well, you just don't
I like
understand.
details. I like details.
It's like, motherfucker, there's not understanding things, like, with Kappa not understanding my going into politics and shit. That's whatever. That's, a topic he doesn't get. Fine.
It's fine.
Not
Whatever.
understanding that people have valid fucking criticisms of your shit and that your shit can improve and you don't do things like this where you just repeat the same word 4 fucking times in a sentence that's 20 words long.
Yeah.
Or you have line breaks where they shouldn't be. Or paragraphs that are way too fucking long or way too fucking short that make no fucking sense. It's like,
Or even my fucking another problem of mine or whatever that has to do in terms of like repeating the same words. It's amazing because not only do they repeat the same words, but they repeat the same ideas, and I swear to God they repeat the same sentences, they just change a couple words in them.
dude, they unironically repeat the same sentence.
Like
Straight up,
how
copy paste.
like I was gonna say, like, how many times at this point, like, I don't want to go back and fucking count because I'll kill myself. How many times at this fucking point has John said that she's just a faunus or whatever, not a human? Like, I get it. I get the idea of what it's supposed to be. He's in denial and he's trying to, like, rationalize it to himself. But you can find a better way to do that than just repeating the same goddamn point 47 fucking times, you know?
I found in a chapter I used the same turn of phrase 3 times, and so I changed it, all but one of the uses of it.
Jesus, yeah.
Because 3 times was too many for me. I could feel it being repetitive just reading through it on my own. It's like, nope, I have to change that, I need to fix that, I need to change that.
This whole thing is fucking repetitive. For 10 chapters now, every single time Yang and fucking John have been together, Yang has done nothing but fucking talk about how she wants... Yeah, Yang has done nothing but talk about how she wants to fuck him and that she's her man, and John has said every time that he wants to fuck her as well, but he can't because she's the fondest. That is the entirety of their interactions. That is all their interactions have been for the last 10 chapters. There's no moving beyond that. John doesn't ask like, "Hey Yang, what do you like to do? Do you want to do something? Do you have a hobby or something?
What's your favorite fucking color?
What's your favorite fucking color?"
We don't
God
even
damn
get the most basic of character shit.
No.
What do you like to eat? What do you like to do? What kind of people do you like? What's your dreams, goals, ambitions?
Her entire fucking thing is just...
It's just, I want to fuck you, you can't fuck me. That has been their entire interaction for the last...
That is their trope. It's not even that they have characters, they have tropes.
Yep.
The entire trope circle is, I want to fuck you, you can't fuck me because I'm a beast woman. I wish you weren't a beast woman, then I could fuck you.
Their interactions.
Another thing with it is, this is supposed to be Nightshade. It's fucking a Harlequin novel. You know what a Harlequin novel is?
Yeah.
I wouldn't insult a Harlequin novel like that, kitty. Come on.
And also when you
they're trash.
And also when you say Nightshade, that implies that the Nightshade is the fucking main focus of the plot.
Oh, Blake has
gotten a one-on-one conversation with John a grand total of 3 times. And like I said later on in the story, I shit you not, she disappears for like 15 chapters straight. I shit you not.
Even if this was a Nightshade fucking fan fiction and it stuck to that, then it would just be a trashy fucking Harlequin novel, essentially. That's way,
At least that would
way,
be
way
something.
too many fucking words long.
Yeah, at least that'd be something. At least you're not fucking giving false advertising.
And ironically, this book, or this, not book, this fanfiction is in the thousands of pages long.
Yep.
It's like,
This
my god.
You
this
could,
author just...
you could write a novel after repeated words.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You could just you could have hundreds of pages of just looked.
Looked in eyes.
Like, that's how fucking ridiculous this is.
And it's not just this fucking story he's made either. Every single one of his stories, this man, woman, creature, thing, entity
This
has
animal.
a fucking... This animal has a fucking just undying hard-on for Yang. I don't understand why, because every single one of his fucking stories that you think is gonna go one way ends up just being a shitty Yang romance story. It's this one, it's another one, it's like 3 or 4 other fucking... Okay, well, not every single one of them. It's either Yang or Weiss. It's
Why
fucking one.
would a man like Yang? She is the most basic of them.
Yes, she has no...
She is the least interesting of all the fucking Ruby girls.
Somehow, I don't know how.
I know how. She manages to have at the start of the game, she seems like the one that has the most personality. The moment you dig any deeper than what you think she's like, you realize there's nothing to her.
She's just the blonde airhead bimbo. That's all she is.
She's just a blonde airhead bimbo. And
Yeah.
the next closest thing to personality she gave her was she's into pussy instead of dick.
Yeah, she's into pussy instead of dick. She's a blonde airhead bimbo. Blake is a fucking coward who runs away from her problems constantly, has a fucking whatever background thing, and is also a fucking retard and social justice racist warrior. Fucking Weiss probably has... Honestly, I think Weiss has the most interesting backstory out of anybody there. Like, fucking mother married her father, but her father was, like, abusive and, like, evil or whatever in terms of the company, and her mother developed, like, became an alcoholic, and her older sister, like, grew up and, like, went into the military and, like, left them alone, and she's trying to, you know, go out into the world and, like, make her own mark on the world without, you know, her father, like, looming... She honestly has the most detailed backstory out of anybody.
And left her brother in the position she wanted to get away from and doesn't seem to sympathize with him at all.
Yes.
Don't fucking care about him at all.
Yes. To be fair, nobody in the story cares about their family. Ruby doesn't give a shit about Tai Yang. Yang doesn't give a shit about Tai Yang or Raven up until fucking season 4 or 5. Fucking Callie, even after she got out of the fucking Blake, even after Blake got out of the White Fang, she hasn't talked to or seen her parents in fucking like 6 goddamn years. Fucking everybody in Weiss's family is either an asshole or an alcoholic.
Or dead.
Or dead. And she wants nothing to do with them, which at least Weiss has an excuse for wanting nothing to do with them.
Except for Whitley, she got no excuse for not talking to them.
Yeah, but she has an excuse for not talking to anybody else, but fucking Blake doesn't, Ruby and Yang don't, fucking none of the other characters do, John doesn't, we never see fucking John's parents.
Also, I refuse to accept that. I refuse to give Yang the benefit of the doubt and say that she's a lesbian because according to the writers, we still don't know she's into Blake. That's why they keep pushing it.
That's why they keep pushing them together and hinting at it. Honestly, that's what makes me so fucking angry. Bumblebee wouldn't even anger me as much as it does if they just honestly just put them together and say, yeah, they were in a relationship. But no, they have to fucking drag it out and stretch it and tease it for like
they gotta tease it. They gotta,
for 2
they
goddamn
gotta
seasons.
play with it and like, oh, we know that you want it, but we're not gonna give it to you yet. You gotta keep watching. And it's fucking forced.
Yes, they're dragging it out, they're forcing it, just so at the very, I guarantee you, so they don't get fucking shit on. They're gonna do it in the last episode of the very last fucking volume. They're gonna be like, you know, the epilogue where everybody's together. It's gonna be, oh, and they're together, they got married, they were really into each other,
And it'll be fucking Ruby and John at the end, too.
I was gonna say, no, it'll be Ruby and, well, yeah, maybe Ruby. I was gonna say Ruby and Weiss, but they haven't set up White Rose like this.
Well, first up, they're not gonna set up White Rose.
No, even though White Rose makes so much more sense, and I'd be so much more okay with it than Bumblebee, because White Rose seems natural.
They're not gonna set up White Rose. They're not gonna set up what is it? Ruby and Oscar because
Oh, yeah.
yeah, even though there's so much fucking sexual tension between them, and I don't get why.
I don't understand, yeah.
Because that's fucking creepy.
Creepy.
When you consider the fact that, oh yeah, there's like an immortal being inside of him that's eventually gonna kill his mind.
And take over, yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be her. It's gonna be her with John, if anyone. If they're even gonna ship them, or it's gonna be another Korra or not Korra, Avatar situation where everybody's just left to their own devices to decide what's the canon ship.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what they're Korra. That's what you're thinking about Korra because how they in the last episode of the very last season they made Korra gay all of a sudden
Yeah.
or whatever, or they fucking forced her and whatever her face is together. That's what they're gonna do with Bumblebee.
Asami.
Yeah, that's what they're gonna do with Bumblebee because that way they did it like that. That way they couldn't like get shit on or whatever.
It's
They're
so
gonna
that they
do
can
it.
avoid any and all fucking criticism. And anybody who
Yeah.
does criticize it would be like, "Oh, you're just
The show's
homophobic."
over.
No, you're just fucking garbage at writing. My
Yeah.
And the
God.
best part is they use it as an excuse, like where it was like, oh no, the studio wouldn't have accepted. No, they didn't care.
If anything,
Yeah.
the
That's the best
studio's
part.
probably pushing it. Like, no, we want this. It gets us more traffic, gets us more clicks.
I just fucking
It just baffles me how you can have writers who genuinely can't fucking write romance for shit when I have to make sure I'm not accidentally setting up romances.
Jesus. Yeah, I can't even. Also, if you ever want to see the is this the fucking video? Hey, fucking Lau, what video did I send you that we fucking met each other on?
Oh,
That was the
Who fucking I know it's the Bumblebee defense video. I'm trying to remember which one though, because there's a million of them.
I can't imagine why anybody would fucking defend a ship either.
No.
Like,
I think it's Bumblebee is not forced.
if your ship can't
Find that.
if your ship is not obvious, then it's not a ship.
Yeah.
It's a fucking raft.
Yeah. I just want to send it to you because the person in that video, we should analyze it sometime. I have never seen someone stretch so hard to try to defend something. Like, it's fucking insane. It's fucking crazy.
Also, the same woman claims that Volume 6 saved Ruby's character.
No. No. No.
Oh, I don't want to watch.
This was how we met.
Oh lord.
Yes, that's it. That's the video. That's the fucking video. Oh my god.
And their fucking YouTube channel is called Zhao Long.
Yeah.
Oh
That's what
my
made it even better.
Fuck.
And look, there's so much content to go through.
Oh baby. Baby, yes.
A 2.5 hour long Q&A.
Oh my god.
For a. Oh my god. I don't want to. I don't want to.
Do it, Kitty. We're gonna do it one of these nights. We're gonna fucking do it.
Oh lord.
Me and Lal are gonna get so angry, and you're gonna get so angry. It's gonna be great.
I'm
Oh.
gonna be fucking depressed.
Somebody's willing to go this far for a shitty show with shitty characters.
A
To
shitty
spend
show
40.
with shitty characters to justify a shitty ship that makes no sense based off of shitty fucking nonsense in the fucking shitty show. Like, fuck.
Dude, I shit you not, in the 45-minute video, one of the things I remember the most is when Yang is at fucking home and moping about losing her arm. There is a moment where she looks at a couple books, like, on a bookshelf for, like, 5 seconds, and the fucking person in the video points it out as like, look, she's looking at books, so that means she's thinking of Blake because she looked at books on a shelf.
Look,
I shit you not.
book mean Blake, right? Book mean Blake.
Book mean Blake. Blake mean book. Book Blake. Blake book. They both start with B's. Blake book Bellatana.
Blake.
Blake book. It all makes sense.
It's all coming together now.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. You know. It sort of repeats itself.
Fuck my life. It's so stupid.
Blake is a better character than we've ever written before. We just have to get her working or whatever.
Blake is the single best character ever written. We just don't know how it she's supposed to work.
Oh my god.
It's so fucking stupid. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I don't understand why.
I was gonna say, if that really was fucking, if the show writers really was like that going to be fucking Yang thinking of Blake, maybe you should have shown us a scene where, I don't know, maybe Yang and Blake were like reading a book together or whatever, like laying on the bed reading a book together, and we see the title of the book, and then when Yang is looking at the bookshelf, we see the title of the book, and we can connect it in our minds like a normal human being and be like, oh, she is thinking of her.
Or like
No.
a stuffed black cat.
Yeah, or like
You
a
wanna
stuffed
go
black
fucking
cat.
direct with the symbolism.
Yes. That's how you connect shit. You can't just say, fucking Blake liked books. Yang is looking at books, so Yang is thinking of... No. No.
I mean, you can do that. The problem is...
That is
It's-
so
it's-
retarded.
No, you can't do that. The problem is when you try to tie it into romance.
Yes,
Mm.
that's when you try to tie it into romance. Guys, I like pizza, so because my mom looked at a pizza box once, that means she's totally in love with me, right, guys?
If,
Yeah.
if you had... If
Fucking-
you had, let's just say, let me use an example we had with Kino Sabi. In Kino's Journey, the first episode, the Kino notices that the guy is growing red roses. And he's like, well, I don't like red roses. And then she's like, oh, she's thinking about them. And then she passes the house and realizes that she's playing the same song. And it's like, oh, they're thinking about each other. It's not that, oh, they want to fuck.
If anything,
Yes.
it's that they miss one each other and at least want to fucking talk to one another.
Yes.
Yes. Not immediately just go straight to fucking. People can be friends. You don't have to fucking fuck. Not every. If this was true, if just fighting together made you want to fuck, then every man in the military should just be fucking each other constantly.
Well,
It should be the largest gay orgy on earth.
don't tell
at
the
this
Greeks
point.
about that, man. Don't tell the Greeks about that. They tried it once and it went too well.
Ugh. God.
Well, yeah, funnily enough, when you like somebody, you also tend to fight with them better.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as
Oh,
it
yeah.
works.
Yeah, and fucking, remember that scene from Volume 7 where fucking Marrow's like, maybe you guys should, like, fucking, I don't know, try to branch out a bit and look for other partners, and they're like, nah, we work perfect together, fam.
We work together very well. No, you
I-
don't.
I just got a terrible idea.
Oh, God. Tell me.
What if Kitty and Captain just work together for once without bitching?
That's impossible.
It would never
Literally
happen.
impossible. No.
Just back like the old days, like back.
No.
If that happened, I would need to record that on a camera for
He is-
posterity and, like, fucking display it to the world,
He
because
is-
that would never happen.
Too fucking invested in his disdain to me, or towards me, to ever put that aside and actually fucking do something.
That's what makes it so funny, though, is that he's built up his hatred for you in his mind so much that he hates you now simply because he hates you. I doubt he even fucking remembers why he hated
The
you.
funny part is,
He
he
doesn't-
hates you and then complains about the fact that I don't give you enough chances to work together.
I know! He actively avoids chances to work together, and then he's like, well, you don't give us enough chances for it. Like, it's your fucking fault!
Ugh.
You know, to use one of the examples he gave me, is that you went off to fight the big bad, right?
Yep.